What's up, y'all? Welcome to the month of April. Normally, I'd have a mouthful of stuff to say about everything that went down in the month of March, trending, Tingz, all of that. But the only thing that's trending is this bitch ass virus that's going around. And I know a lot of people still aren't taking this thing seriously, but I need you to understand that it's not a game. And as much as I want to believe that this is one big ass April Fool's joke, it's not. People are dying. My soul sister passed away like 3 days ago. I'm still in disbelief, and so I just want everybody to truly take care of themselves and check on your loved ones. Don't go anywhere if you really don't have to, and just like it's real. Shit is real. So to my sister Antoinette, my angel, may you sleep in peace. I thank you for always having my back and showing up for me before I could even finish my sentences. If I called, she was at the door with the quickness. She opened up her home to me when mine went up in flames, and she was just like a natural fixer. Olivia Pope ain't have shit on her. But despite my fragile heart right now, like I don't have a choice but to press through and do my part so that I can bear witness to the end of this pandemic and continue my travels and make her proud that I'm racking up frequent flyer miles. So I'll always hear her say, Sham, what country you in this week? So, once all of this is over, I will continue those miles, girls. But for this episode, we have two young and thriving individuals who have started this company to essentially just make our earth better at the end of the day. And so I'm bringing to you the founders of Carnicycle, and we're just talking about ways to make Carnival sustainable. I think what they're doing is absolutely amazing and unique, and I just look forward to seeing how things go with them and how this all pans out in the future, because I know that it's actually going to be really, really great for the environment. So here's my conversation with Luke and Danny from Carnicycle. I also want to apologize in advance for some of the audio that you might hear. There were a lot of mishaps during this call, but we pressed through. So you may hear some overlapping, and those are things that were out of our control because we were recording from 3 different places and we couldn't expect it to be absolutely perfect. So again, I apologize for the quality of some of the pieces.
You're tuned in to Nice-ish, the Carnival-specific podcast that addresses chat-worthy topics straight off the Caribbean social scene. It's your one-stop spot to get all the information you need to be successful in this carnival-chasing lifestyle. You'll be filled with knowledge and getting updates from me, Sha, and other professionals in the field of Bacchanal. It's time to get nice.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Thank you for joining me. I'm going to ask each of you to introduce yourselves and just give us a little information about what you do in your as individuals, and then we can talk about Carnicycle as a company and a business. I guess it's only right ladies go first. Danny, if you want to start.
Sure. Okay. So, my name's Danny. Full name is Danny McCutchie. And so, when I'm not doing Carnicycle, my day job, I'm an environmental engineer or environmental project lead. I work at a food manufacturing plant in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the United States. It's a well-known company, Campbell's Soup Company. So we're one of those in this COVID-19. We're one of those essential businesses. Our plant hasn't shut down because we make a bunch of crackers and soup and stuff like that. But basically, day to day, I kind of work on projects that help the company achieve its sustainability goals, landfill, waste to landfill reduction, energy reduction goals, and water reduction goals. So I work on projects like that with a bunch of people at work. And I'm also working on starting up a recycling program at work as well. So everything kind of in my life is surrounding sustainability and the environment. It's truly a passion of mine. And yeah, that's what I do.
Hi, my name is Luke Harris. So I live in Tobago. And besides the day-to-day Carnicycle activity, I still finishing up my exams in UWI actually, UWI Mona. I'm doing a degree in biotechnology. Supposed to finish it up next year. Besides that, also working on an agricultural supply company here in Tobago, growing nurseries and produce for farmers on the island. And yeah, that has picked up most of my time.
All right. So who would like to talk to us about like how Carnicycle began? Who came up with like the idea? What was that whole process like? Like how hard was it to get people to assist you? I have so many questions.
I think Luke's always better at this.
All right, so you hear me, right? Okay, I
Yeah.
just wanna make sure. Yeah, so I guess the conception of the idea started in November 2018. Yeah, but
Hmm.
even before this, like Danny said, real life kind of always has been surrounded by sustainability and like how to push that in innovative ways. So even before this, we was looking at ways to be innovative in waste reduction on the island. Um, Before this, we wasn't looking into research and ways to recycle plastics on the island. But that particular project, it did prove to be a little difficult to maneuver, especially like in the startup stage when you consider stuff like cost and stuff. So, just looking for the next thing, looking for the next way to be innovative and, have some kind of waste reduction on the island. We started looking into other industries, and that is when Danny came across Carnival. And in looking into it, we realized that Carnival is not a sustainable industry because besides the regular plastic bottles waste and stuff like that, we also have waste from costumes. You know, every year they make these costumes and they have different themes, but where do they go after was the question we started asking ourselves, and that question is what really drive the formation of the company and everything we do now. That was the conception.
Yeah, then the idea, I can't tell you, like it just popped in my head.
Yeah.
And then I was just like, "Hey, Lucas, what about Carnival?" And then we kind of like, lingered on it for a little bit and then left it alone and like started working, like continued working on our other projects. But then like the idea wouldn't leave my head. So that just like compelled me to do like more research online. And there's only one thing, like I typed in so many different search strings on Google. There's only one thing that led me to any type of like costume recycling, and that was over in Brazil. Like they recycle some of the big parade figures and stuff like that, like what we would have in our traditional like parade, king and queen parades. But like the actual costumes, still there's nothing about the actual costumes that they recycle.
Yeah,
So we were like, oh, this is just not being done anywhere.
basically.
so
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, actually that's funny because Brazil, like I remember when I was starting to look up and trying to find somewhere online to teach me how to wire bend or to teach me how to do something like that was the closest place. There will always be like samba related information that I would find, but there would be nothing about, like our type of carnival. So it's very interesting that, you're finding the same thing in this type
Mm-hmm.
of arena. So I had no idea that Danny was in North Carolina. So how do you guys make the partnership work from two different locations? Like how often do you actually get time together face to face to work on things?
Well, uh, I'm actually so I'm based out in North Carolina, but I'm from Tobago, which is
Mhm.
where Luke and I met. We
Mhm.
met in high school in Tobago, and so that's where we met. I also have like my immediate family down there, like my dad, brothers and sisters, and such. And so, yeah, I go home probably like 3 or 4 times a year. And so when I go home, that's also like when I'd be able to see Luke face to face. If we, aside from like going to different islands to do Carnicycle, so probably like 4 or 5 times a year we'll meet face to face. Everything else is virtual. And given like the state of the world right now, where we depend on a lot of technology, a lot of companies, even right now in this COVID-19 era, a lot of people are working from home, and you kind of realize that it's easy to do a lot of work from home. There's a pros and cons to it, but like when you see how easy it is, then it makes sense how me and Luke can work on Carnicycle virtually for most of the year, and things still, work out.
From looking at your social media posts from like Trinidad, and it looked like everything went super successfully as far as you guys collecting things. So is that process like fully done? So you've collected, you washed everything and you've like sent it away to people, or are there parts of the process that are still being worked on? Or you can actually just talk about the whole Trinidad Carnival experience and Carnicycle and how that went, so that everybody kind of gets an idea of what goes on. Because I already know, because I'm like an IG stalker. But so yeah, just share with them like exactly like what did that process look like for Trinidad
I could
or any
start off
carnival.
and then Danny could think, because Danny, she's a talkative one, But Trinidad Carnival, that was our biggest carnival yet. We was really excited to do it because, that is our home, and these are the first times execution in Trinidad, and also this was logistically, it was the hardest one to put together just because of the mass and the amount of people that take part in it. All in all, though, it's always a learning experience. It was fun, because just being in that environment alone is fun already. You're among people, just drinking, partying all the time. We did have some challenges. Well, you want me to go through the collection process? So so most of the planning and stuff happens before we even enter the country to execute the collection. So before, we have to connect with places to have drop-off sites. So we have these containers that we make to facilitate the collection of the costumes. So first, before we even enter our country, we have to connect with places, usually hotels and stuff like that, to organize the drop-off bins and use those sites as collection sites for the costumes. So you have to connect with those. We have to connect with people who we're going to donate some of the things to after. So it's a lot of networking and planning that does go before we could, execute. So all that happens. We set up the collection bins usually so Carnival is the Monday and Tuesday. We try to set it up this Saturday or Sunday from before, and usually it'll run all week. But because it's a new idea, people still being introduced to it. Once we could push it more than that week, we would, just to collect as much costumes as we can. Because you really find throughout the year too, people just sporadically message us asking, hey, can we drop off a costume still? And at times it's the middle of the year or something. So we try to facilitate as much as we can. We did face some challenges this year, challenges that we'd never think we'd have faced before. For example, we had the collection bins down to the road with us as well. So it wasn't only in hotels and stuff, but on the day itself, we were there with our collection bin, encouraging people to recycle the costumes. And we had cases where people were trying to take back the costumes from the bin, or other people try to come and take the costumes because they want the wings and stuff like that. So that was something we didn't expect. The collection, to be honest, because Trinidad is the biggest carnival, we did expect to collect a little more. But like I said, it's a new idea, and it does take people a while to get into things that's innovative and stuff. So we're still proud of what we've done.
So wait, so what was the first carnival that y'all did ever?
In Jamaica. We decided about the idea from November 2018, and the first time executed Carnival was in Jamaica, April 2019. And we did Barbados and Miami that year as well.
Okay, so what did you learn from the first time from the Jamaica experience that you now do? Because now, we know right now that you just said that there was some thieves in Trinidad trying to steal costumes. So what happened in Jamaica because there's always that first that first event, and you have all these learning experiences. So what did you take away from that one?
That's the thing too. Every carnival is different because it's like different culture and stuff. So even like throughout these last 4 carnivals we always had to approach things a different way. So for example, Jamaica, we probably would focus more on collection on the road as rather than like in hotels and stuff. Just from like what we observe. Um but what we pick up from each carnival mostly, I would say, is like ways we could optimize the process. Like, okay, how we could make the collection bin more sturdy, because it's also things we have to travel with, you know? How we could make the bin more sturdy, what kind of materials we could use to make it more light to travel with, what is the best way to collect these costumes, what areas should we tackle. So it's more things like optimizing how we collect costumes, how we break them down, how we get it apart as fast as possible, because the goal really is to enter the country and execute and leave as soon as we could, because every day we spend there is more money being spent on food, transportation, etc. So it's like those little things we really have to pay attention to. But in terms of like learning things from carnival to carnival to carnival, is like we have to kind of categorize it. So, because every carnival, like I said, is different and we have to deal with it in a different way. You understand?
Yeah. So you've done the collection. Where do you go to clean them? Like, what is the cleaning process? How tedious is that? And then, like, what are the next steps even after that? Because I was even thinking, I was surprised when I saw that you guys were collecting shoes. So the first thing that someone asked me, but they were like, how do people not have shoes at the end of the road? I'm like, I've witnessed that myself, and I've actually experienced like the bottom of my shoe coming off. So I'm like, it's definitely possible. So what's that process look like? The
Well, that's the
cleaning
next thing I had
process of it all.
forgot to mention. So that's the next thing we also have to coordinate and organize before we go. We have to also organize a place where we go in and store these things and be able to clean them before we even get there. This is the next thing we have to organize virtually before we get there. The process of the cleaning, and because what we do is, in terms of the carnival costumes themselves, you have like the bras, you have the wire frames, the feathers, you have the gems. So after collection and we have a cleaning venue organized, we go and we strip and we dismantle the costumes and we sanitize everything. The process itself it could be tedious, yes. It could be tedious. But I'm really grateful though, because especially for this last carnival in Trinidad, the volunteers was just real intake, like super, super intake. So like once we have people like that on our team, that will then so like go out of their way to like help us, just because they're probably interested in sustainability just like us. That does really make it helpful.
Our business model basically is like we collect these costumes. What we're currently selling right now are the feathers. That's what we started off just selling. So when we decide to clean and break down these costumes, we really try to just focus on breaking down the costume with particular feathers, like ostrich feathers. They're kind of the most expensive. They're the most expensive part of the costume, aside from like the gems and the rhinestones. And so there's a lot of costumes that don't have those feathers. So for those costumes, we don't really spend time breaking those down. In fact, like we came up with this idea afterwards that if we have kind of like a market or a place to kind of give those items away to different folks who may need it, like schools or like dancers and things like that, who actually reuse these costume parts, then we're still able to recycle it without us having to forfeit all that time to break down things that we don't need, or even throw it away after it's already been collected. So that's another important element. When we have something when we do have a costume to break down, everything is hot glued together. So we take apart the hot glue using like a special like industrial grade sanitizing solution, and then everything kind of comes apart. currently we've been working with a feather cleaning company, an eco-friendly one, to clean the feathers. However, again, we're always optimizing. So that feather company is based in the US. And although they do a great job, they use like liquid carbon dioxide to just clean the feathers and maintain its fluffiness. That's exporting the feathers out the country. There's a long supply chain for feathers to come from originally South Africa, which is where 80% of ostrich farms are. And they go to China to be,
Process.
they go to China to go through the process, sanitizing, dyeing the feathers to whatever color you guys want it to. Then they have to come to the U.S. because like bands in Trini or Jamaica, or whatever, they can't directly buy it from China. They have to buy it from a U.S. retailer who has a license. And then they go to the Caribbean. So if you just add up all of the carbon emissions associated with that, it's a lot to just get, they're beautiful feathers on your costume. And so by us recycling them, selling them back to designers, craftspeople at a reduced cost, you're cutting those emissions. But then when we're talking about cleaning them, if we have to send them outside to the US, then bring them back, that still is less emissions than, by purchasing brand new feathers, but we're still trying to optimize that, trying to figure out what other ways we can clean the feathers inland and stuff like that. So kind of that's where we are. We've broken down everything, but we're second, trying to go over, optimize our cleaning process, trying to figure out a way we don't have to export as much. Yeah.
Thank you for that explanation. So with that, I have questions because I noticed on your website, you have a form where people can sign up to, if they were interested in receiving some of the recycled items. I know I did that for like the wireframes and stuff, because as much as I love designing and as much as I love creating frames from scratch, sometimes it gets tiring. So I'm like, if they're already out there and ready for me, then I would definitely use them, right? But as far as, so say there are people who are interested in receiving those things, are you limiting it to, so for example, if Trinidad Carnival happened and now all of these things are now available for expense purposes, are you limiting it to the people like on that island? Because then if there's someone in the States who's interested, then you have to then like ship those things to them. So what happens in Jamaica, we're making this available to Jamaica. So if a carnival happens in Atlanta, then this will be, you know what I mean? So what does that look like? How does that selection process work? And are you mailing things to interested parties?
Great thing you asked that question. So you're kind of spot on for the most part. We try to create an impact in the country that we are in. So because at least in the Caribbean, a lot of the same countries have the same problem where the materials are expensive. Just everyday people just can't get these items, and so we want to benefit the things that we donate. We want that to impact the country that we're in. The things that we sell, we also want it to impact, because we're selling things that are reduced cost. That's way below market, really just to sustain our business. But it also really benefits whoever is buying it, because it's way cheaper than they would be able to get it on the island or just ordering it, But the things we have left over, we are willing to donate to whoever wants it outside of the island. Whoever wants it outside of the island, but we would ask them to cover the cost of shipping, which some people have done. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Totally makes sense. All right, cool. So what you have left over? Because I might be interested. But no. So now that I think a lot of people, so for myself, I'm thinking, there's a lot of downtime now that, we're doing this whole social distancing thing for Rona. And when that happens, I kind of get into like creative mode to not be bored, to always trying to be active in doing something. So it would be great to have like those items on hand, especially for people who are just looking to practice or looking to get ready for whenever it is that Carnival returns to the globe. I forgot what my question was with all of that. How has Rona impacted life, either for you as a individual and as a company as well? Like what are the changes that has come about because of it?
Girl, Miss Rona came to snatch all of our lives. Miss Rona came ferocious, out and bad. I mean, yeah, so our whole business is based around Carnival. And our next Carnival was going to be in Jamaica, and that's been postponed currently to October. And then our next Carnival after that was going to be in Barbados, and then Grenada Carnival. One of the bands we were working with for Grenada Carnival has postponed their launch. So a lot of things have been kind of put on halt in terms of, like, we're still trying to plan as much as we can, just keeping in mind that anything we plan could really just be out the window because it just can't work. If a carnival can't happen, it can't happen. But we're taking this time. It's a perfect time because, leading up so between Trinidad and Jamaica Carnival, there was a lot of planning going on for the carnival specifically. But like we told you earlier in the podcast, we have a lot of other parts of the business to optimize. And so we're taking the time to do research and figure out how can we optimize it so that when everything gets ready, like we have the green light to go, we kind of could just like put the new things that we've learned into place, into action. Working a lot on our like business model, like our like finances, like projecting those and just getting some of the soft things out the way. So whenever there is a next carnival, we can, we can be ready to go. But other than that, on a personal level for me, it's been good and bad. I'm out here in North Carolina all by myself, and I've been forced to be with myself. Basically, which is I can't run away from myself, so I've been forced to be with myself, and it's a learning experience. I've been learning like things that I've liked. I've also been trying to be creative. I picked up some sewing. I've been like upcycling some of my old pieces of clothing into like crop tops and stuff like that.
Yes,
and so it's helped me get into a creative mode. Helped me kind of learn a little bit stuff about myself, a little bit of things more about myself. But I'm ready for it to be over, to be honest. I'm ready to get back out there. But appreciating the break for what it is, because this is something that's never happened before. So, yeah.
Luke?
For me, the type of person I've been for the past year, I would say, not that it's haven't like affected me, but my day usually, especially since the year started, I've been trying to introduce more discipline in like my day-to-day routines and the stuff that I surround myself with. So my day-to-day before this even started up was basically well, I told you that we besides working on this, also working on developing a agricultural supply company with another friend. So my day-to-day is I'll already be home a lot. And if I'm not working on Carnicycle, I'll basically be like watching or reading a lecture. Right now, I'm learning stuff on economics. Anything that can help me just get like a wider perspective on how to grow businesses. So recently, I've been doing that on accounting because we had set up the accounting and finances for the company. So I've been learning about that, a little bit of econ, and just trying to be better. And I haven't been, and before this too, I'm a social person, but I haven't been going out a lot these days and stuff. So it kind of, I've been in the same routine. It hasn't like affected my routine that much.
Yeah, me and Luke work together because he just by nature is a little bit more introverted and I'm a little bit more extroverted. So we kind of keep each other balanced in this business. I'm kind of really sky high with my dreams and he's very logical And so yeah, we kind of ground each other because you definitely need both in business. You need to be aspirational, but you kind of need a reality check
Absolutely.
too. Like, yeah.
So what,
I got a question for you. What inspired you to create that video on how to repurpose your wire rod? That was so cool.
Oh, thank you. I mean, for me, when I started playing mass, like I'm that person that goes to the mass camp and I'm paying attention to everything else. Like I'm looking in the background to see like what is going on, if I can steal some ideas or something. So I never wanted to waste my costume. I just felt like I paid too much money for this. And I should be able to use it again. So I just was like, I can just do this. I can just take the fabric off. I love the frame and just do it and just wear it to other things. So I wear a lot of my wire bras to like fetes and stuff, or if I'm going to a country and I'm not playing mass, and I just repurpose what I have. Making use out of old things has just always been my thing. At work one time, there was this bench that was killing me. And I'm like, this fabric is horrible. It looks crazy. Go to the store, get some fabric and reupholster the damn furniture. So I just think that people can get a lot more out of their purchases if they kind of just think outside the box. But, a lot of people don't have that. They're like, well, I'm not creative, or I don't have, well, you may not be creative, but you can get somebody else to do it. So that was my inspiration, just trying to get more out of what I paid for, basically.
That's exactly what we're trying to teach people. Like, even if they don't recycle their costume, recycling is really the last step in the whole 3 R's chain. We want people to, reduce whatever wastage they can and then try to reuse it and upcycle it, like you're saying right now. Like, that's really an important part of just the process of being more environmentally conscious and looking at things in a different way and not just tossing it because, yeah.
Yeah, if people, and you have a lot of people, you don't even have to be creative, but you can just, I think, especially when you think about Monday wear, if you have an old piece and you want to reuse it, you can, ship it to a designer and say, hey, can you do this over with the fabric of choice that I might send you, or, anything that can just make it pop out the way that you want it to. I think there are definitely options. So I guess that leads me to another question. Like, you guys don't hit, you can't hit every carnival, right? So you just said that how you had, I think Jamaica was on the lineup, Crop Over was on the lineup. Since Carnicycle may not have a presence there, what are some things that people could do on their own to help the cause?
So, well, before I answer your question, just want to quickly say that we're working on kind of like a Carnicycle brand ambassador program where, yes, where like people in the carnivals that we can't hit, because even Trinidad Carnival, I think there's like 3 or 4 other carnivals that are happening at the same time. You literally can't. Yeah, so we literally can't just be at all these places at once, and it's also really expensive to travel to all these places. So we are trying to develop a program where we kind of teach people the optimize the steps we take to execute a carnival, collection, and then they can lead it on and we could support them with anything in between, while not physically being at the carnival. So we're trying to develop that, or we are currently in the middle of developing that program. So we're taking that time right now to do that as well.
I love it. Sign me up right now. I'm telling you right now, because there are a lot of times that when I feel like I won't say I'm growing out of it, but there are times where I want to do something else. I may not necessarily want to play mass, especially if it's a carnival that I've been to already. But I would love to participate in some way that's making a difference. So I think having that option for people who, just kind of, they want to be at Carnival, but they want to be doing something else. They don't necessarily have to play mass, or they can still, you can still take your little wine and take your chip as you're collecting costumes and whatnot. So I really love that brand ambassador program. But what for like the people, like what can people do? So we talked about like upcycling costumes that they have. Do you recommend that they um, sh- hold things until you make it to their area? What are some ideas? I think you guys had put up like tips and things for people to do on their own. So what maybe are 2 or 3 things that they can do?
Yeah, if you don't have any intentions of trying to keep your carnival, we say that you donate it to a school, because a lot of schools use those things, whether it's for historical, like to just like demonstrate the history of carnival. They use it for that. But then a lot of the arts and crafts teacher, like I'm telling you, these things are really expensive. So a lot of teachers would take apart the costumes and then use it for arts and crafts with their students. So we recommend that people donate those pieces to schools primarily first. Secondly, we do recommend upcycling. We're about to make a post today where we show you like something similar to what you've done, but other people have done in a recent fashion show where they've taken wire bras from old costumes and then old clothes from their closet and made outfits out of it, and they look so cute. And then so we recommend that you hold on to it, you take things back to you, and then use some of the resources that we put out or some things that you may find online, and try to get creative and reuse your costume pieces. There's not any other business like this, so we can't tell you kind of like, oh, go recycle it, because there's no one else really doing that. But those are our 2 main things. And that's mostly for, well, the first thing applies to both locals and foreigners. The second part applies to foreigners. But if you're a local, definitely just hold on to your costume until we make it back the next time around, because we do plan on trying to get to every carnival once in our lifetime, which will easily be achieved once we roll out our brand ambassador program. There's just so many people reaching out to us from different places, and we feel so bad when we can't go there. But that also just shows us like people are wanting to do this in their island, St. Vincent. They want to make a change, and they also see how wasteful this event can be, just as wasteful as beautiful as it could be.
My next question is like I'm thinking of like Rip the Runway and Project Runway. So like what are, I guess ideally it's a 2-part question. Ideally, what would a environmentally friendly band look like? And then also what are things that bands can do to help sustain the environment from the get-go?
First thing they could do is to stop providing like little maps and stuff. Everything should like like any little like printed like piece of paper that they put in those like costume packs, they could eliminate those. And then you could start there, like in those costume goodie bags you have a whole bunch of various things, from like hand sanitizer to sunscreen to alcohol, so whatever you can think of. But if you're putting something in there, try to do research and put like the most environmentally friendly alternative, which we post a lot of them on there. There's a lot of, and then try to use a lot of local products too. There's a lot of like local eco products that like local people who make eco-friendly products, like eco-friendly sunscreen, beauty products, and things like that. I would encourage brands to do that versus ordering single-use things from China, or like, yeah, just I would go local and try to do local and sustainable when making the goodie bags. In terms of the FET, which a lot of brands may work with other people or put on their own FET, making sure that there's enough recycling and trash receptacles all around the FET. So that's something that's so easy to do, but I feel like most FETs miss. Like there's just not enough of those bins And then that's where you see all the waste on the floor. Because when you're drunk, you're not about to walk like 6 or 12 feet to go throw away something.
Yeah.
And that's just the reality of it. And so so that's something they could do. Also, most bands are already giving away like cups that they could use, but even the design of the cup, because I know like some of the tribe cups that were given away this year is like they made it so nice that you want to keep using it, you know? It's not, yeah. So it's not like cheap where it's like, okay, I'm going to use it, but I know I'm going to get one next year. No. Or even encourage like, okay, if you encourage people to bring your same cup, which really doesn't matter, you don't have to order that. And then, why don't you just bring your own cup?
Sure.
Because you already have your band, bring your own cup. I think if that's something that you tell people to do, they have to do it. And yeah, that's an expense the band doesn't have to pay.
I like that idea. Yeah. Because even from the ticket, even if they did it on, say you're signing up, you're registering for it, they should have an option with cup, without cup, and then you know whether or not to bring it, and then they kind of can gauge how much they have to order or something like that. I don't know. That just was popping up in my mind because I normally bring my own cup anyway. Because there are a lot of feds sometimes where they don't even offer you a cup at all, and it's very annoying to have to go back and forth and using all these unnecessary
the plastic cup.
unnecessary
even like we were
drinkware.
even thinking of that should be an option for fets too. Bring your own cup to a fet, bring your own cup to on the road. It should be an option
to begin
at
with.
least. And then back to your sustainable costume stuff. Biodegradable is one, but I think the best way for a costume to be sustainable that is designed so that every single thing could be reused again, if not biodegradable. Because when you see that, if you can reuse an item, that means like even 2 or 3 more times. I think that's a better use of the material than it just kind of falling apart and you got to make something.
Yeah, and add on to that too, they should give their masqueraders more incentives on reusing the things, because people might not be on their own, but promotion, some sort of incentive for the masqueraders to reuse or bring it back. Where there's a percentage of the costume when they bring it or something like that.
That is a good idea.
The next step is just a ban where everybody wear over their costume from last year. You just pay for the drinks and the security, and you could wear any costume you want to, just like they do in Notting Hill. Do you think that would take away from the experience?
I mean, I think it depends on the person, but it also, I feel like that if that a band brought that option, like everything else that you do has to be on point, because I'm already bringing what I'm going to wear, so I'm expecting high quality elsewhere. You know what I mean? And it also depends on like the price point of what that is and being realistic. So I think it could definitely work. I do it, especially if I'm not interested in paying for a costume, and if I'm just looking to be on the road and have a road experience. So basically it's like a bacchanal road but just a band section, right, for that year. So if you're okay with not having newness, I think it could definitely work. I do it, because it's like I want to be on the road, but I don't want a costume, but I also don't want to look, regular schmegular. So I think that's definitely I like it.
I think that's not the main challenges too with sustainability, and that is like packaging it in a way that people, get to market it in a way that people like it, because sustainability is not something that everybody is raving about, and it's a challenge we have actually, because some people like the notion that recycling a costume for a good cause is not good enough for some people. Some people would just say they don't care about that. They pay for their costume and they want to keep their costume and throw it away after. Well, that is some people thought. But like, I feel one of the hardest things too, one of the biggest challenges is just packaging sustainability or the way you deliver your things to like the masses have to be like, it had to be on point. You have to package it a certain way that they will take it. You have to kind of trick them almost. It's some bad to say, but some people that idea alone is not good enough for them. They need more.
Yes,
They
it's
need some
true.
other incentive. They need some other thing. And eventually it'll become normal.
What I'm thinking, we have a couple minutes left, but you just said something that sparked an idea. So what if like, say you guys teamed up with a band, right? And you have an option, say there's someone who's loyal to a particular band and, not in a brochure printed out, but somewhere, when they register, they can opt to, at the end of road, if you want to recycle your costume, we'll give you X% off of for next year if you donate this to Carnicycle kind of thing. So before they leave the island, you're going here to drop off this costume. And then after that, you're not going to get an immediate incentive, but when you come to register with us for the following year, you'll get this % off of
We
your
did
costume
think of
because
it.
you've
We did
donated
think of
that kind
something
of
very
thing.
similar. I
I
think
don't
it's
even know if
actually
that's already
Danny
in
who
place,
came
but
up with
that's
it.
what popped
Getting
in my
like
head.
tax rights off your costume if you donate it back. Something along that line. And that would be great. The more bands we could connect with, if they could like accept and understand that will make it so much easier, because it's their masqueraders. At the end of the day, it's their masqueraders. They have to encourage it. But I feel like, and as a discussion that that should start. I feel like even besides the band, even like you go above the band and you go to like the NCC, or the entity that governs the carnival. We need to connect with more people like this and start to have discussions like these, because it's their masqueraders.
Yeah, the bands have them. I guess the most direct influence over their masqueraders. I know masqueraders from the time or before they purchase their costume from the band launch, just like they're just glued to what the band has out for them, what they have to say, what the new things that they're doing this year. And a lot of people would have messaged us saying, like, if they knew about costume recycling as an option, like from when they registered, they would have definitely recycled it. Yeah, because anything after that is kind of like, people are one track minded. They have their agenda for Carnival, and then they got to go home to work, to go back to work. So that's something we thought about. It's just getting bands as well to agree with these type of things, because everything has to make business sense to them.
I think it's possible too. I think it could happen eventually, as you keep working and building a certain credibility to the business. People will be more accepting. Like Danny had said before, lots of different people. Whereas when you now started off, we'd have to like reach out to every single person we want to get in contact with. Now we are seeing more of a, more persons are reaching out to us now. And vice versa still, is more of like a mutual flow.
Yeah, you have to have some interest in it in some way to be motivated to do that. So yeah, I feel you. But then also, as long as they have the information up front, I think that's always going to be best. And so as time progresses, people will know about you guys more and more. And I'm sure there's going to be people who kind of, not for nothing, but bite off your idea and kind of start their own stuff. So I mean, eventually the word is going to spread. But I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. If you can drop your social media plugs and give everybody the information on how they can get in touch with you, so that we can spread this this love for the earth.
For all you listeners who want to follow us, learn tips on how you can be eco-friendly during Carnival, before and after, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Carnicycle. And then if you want to take some of our post-Carnival materials to use for your crafts, you can request it at our website, www.carnicycle.com.
Thank you for making Carnival sustainable. I appreciate it. I'm going to do my part. And I meant what I
Okay.
said about the brand ambassador thing. I'm signing up
Okay,
right
you're
now,
like
even though the papers are not ready. All right, y'all have a great day. Stay safe out there,
Yeah.
please. I know y'all are still in your
Yeah.
essential mode. Well, I know Danny's still an essential
Thank
worker,
you.
so
Thank you.
you
Bye.
know, be safe out there.
Thanks for tuning in to the latest episode of Nice-ish. As always, I'm grateful for your time and attention. Stay plugged in by subscribing to this podcast, my website, tingznice.com, and following me on all social media platforms. Visit the show notes for all the links and the plugs related to this episode. If you ever have questions about anything we discuss on the show, be sure to hit me up at info@tingznice.com. And remember, sharing is caring, so please pass this podcast on to anyone you believe will benefit from the information. I'm going to check you all later.